and welcome to another edition of your brand and enterprise program, Kaleidoscope, on Channels Television. Thanks a lot for joining us on the program. I'm Anne Orwando. On the show today, we have a chat with the head Orwando Foundation, Adekonla Adegoke, highlighting the impact the organization has made in Nigeria's education sector. Plus, the Executive Director, Business Support at Wema Bank PLC for Lakeshanu reveals the various projects targeted at developing communities where Wema Bank operates. Once again, welcome to the program. Orwando Foundation is the philanthropic arm of the oil and gas company Orwando PLC. Let's tell you more about the foundation. Orwando PLC is one of Africa's leading energy solution providers with a proud heritage. It has a primary listing on the Nigerian Stock Exchange and a secondary listing on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, with shared values of teamwork, respect, integrity, passion, and professionalism. The multinational energy company operating in the upstream, midstream and downstream sectors found the need to create a philanthropic arm known today as Orwando Foundation. The foundation operates as an independent charity registered in 2011 to support the Nigerian government to achieve its universal basic education goal. Its long-term thrust is to advance capacity building and sustainable development. The foundation has formed strategic alliances with key government institutions, non-governmental organizations, international development organizations, and private sector organizations, with a vision to create a sustainable and successful educational system in Nigeria, educate and empower every child, and a mission to radically improve the quality of teaching and learning in schools and communities by ensuring access to world-class basic education systems. Orwando Foundation is determined to work towards bridging the gap in the education sector in Nigeria and Africa at large. Why choose education? I asked Mrs. Adekonla Adegoke. Listen to her response.
When the government launched the Universal Basic Education Act in 2004, at that time, Orwando PLC also coincidentally had funded a school, infrastructure of a school in a community where they had assets called Bunduama in River State. By 2007, when the government called for private sector actors to support the basic education space through the Adopt a School program, Orwando signed up as a partner and started renovating certain schools. But what the thought was at the time was it wasn't possible to increase or contribute to the achievement of learning outcomes for any child by just supporting infrastructure. So the group decided that we would set up a foundation dedicated to basic education. So 80% of the foundation's work would be to support the Nigerian government achieve its basic education aim, and 20% would be focused on some of the portfolio called special projects.
A survey conducted by the United Nations Children's Fund puts the number of out-of-school children in Nigeria at over 13 million, and that's the highest in the world. What is the foundation's strategy in helping reduce this number?
Over the past 3 years, the foundation has succeeded in working with communities to mobilize and enroll over 60,000 out-of-school children across the schools where we work. Currently, our signature program, the Adopt a School program, so we create conducive environments for children, infrastructure rehabilitation and new builds to ensure that we have proper spacing in the public schools where we work. We also have water supply and sanitation facilities installed, as well as solar-powered ICT centers. We have about 39 solar-powered ICT centers across the 88 schools where we work. We have partnered with various people or various organizations to transit children, out-of-school children, sometimes, in most cases, internally displaced children, from non-formal education centers into formal education in our schools. We also have a program a sub-program to build the capacity of the teachers within our schools. There's a program for head teachers where they understand what school governance is, what classroom management techniques are, how they can support the effectiveness of the class teachers. We have another program for the classroom-based teachers that deals with their subject and content knowledge, deals with how they instruct or guide students within classes, how they elicit the responses from those students, as well as improvise teaching and learning material. So we actually have donated over 10,000 teaching and learning materials across the schools where we work. However, we also know that in certain instances, this might not be enough. And teachers have to learn how to improvise using card or whatever they can find in their natural environment to make the classes more interesting for the children. Again, there's a policy from 2004 that talks about, or that states how early childcare classes in Nigeria should be run. And what we've tried to do is ensure that the teachers understand how children at that age can learn through their senses or through colors. Schools and ICT centers, in certain instances, are repositories for information on the school population. So their school, their performance rates, retention rates, transition rates. The teachers themselves learn how to deploy their curriculum using education technology. And in certain instances, what we've also done is supported coding clubs across some of our schools. We also have a program for accelerated literacy.
And to achieve your set goals, healthy partnerships are very important. How is the foundation engaging your stakeholders, and who are your stakeholders? How are you engaging them to help scale up and increase the sustainability of your programs?
Our key partner is Orwando PLC. They have kindly provided funds and in-kind resources such as the technical know-how of their staff. We work with UBEC, that's the Universal Basic Education Commission, the Federal Ministry of Education, as well as the State Universal Basic Education Boards and local education authorities. Currently, we work in 88 schools across 23 states. So on the international level, what we were able to do is represent Orwando PLC on the Global Business Coalition for Education. What we were able to do is establish two key relationships. One with a company called Sumitomo Chemical, a Japanese company. They don't have a presence in Nigeria, but they've partnered with us to co-fund the establishment of 6 ICT centers across the country, and currently are running a program to educate children about climate change and recycling. We've also been able to work with Educate a Child. On a local level, we work through Nigerian civil society organizations who have a knowledge of the communities that we work.
And let's talk about some of those programs you've done around communities across the country and what your experience is being like, especially what actually drives your foundation.
What drives us is the smiles we see on the children's faces when we see children who otherwise would not have had any means to have education. Walk up to you and say, this is the first time I'm experiencing learning in a fun environment. This is the first time I'm experiencing learning in a class not under the sky. When it rains, I'm no longer afraid of going to school, or I no longer have to leave school to go home. This is the first time you see the smiles on their faces when they see computers for the first time. We have a few stories that really warm our hearts when it comes to the work we do across the country. One of such stories, a girl in Kaduna State. She was one of the best children in her class, and the foundation runs scholarships. And her parents wanted her to get married right after her primary 6. She didn't want to get married. She received a scholarship, wanted to go to school. The head teacher of that school went to the secondary school that she was supposed to resume at, and waited for a while, but the girl didn't turn up. When the head teacher was just about to leave, the little girl turns up on a motorcycle and says, "Oh, I'm here with my things. I want to register," without the knowledge of her parents. Of course, the head teacher as an adult had to take her back home but not only back home, she took her to the community chief, who called the parents and had a conversation with them and said he would like this girl child to go to school. At the end of this all, the girl child, she went to school. She's finished secondary school now. And about 2 years or 3 years ago, when we went back to the school to launch the ICT center that we had installed at the school, the village chief actually said that he remembered the story. He acknowledged the fact that what he did was he made a pronouncement in his community that every girl child in that community must go. So from that day that girl actually hopped on that bike and went to school, he made a pronouncement that every girl child in that community must go to school. In 2014, with the outbreak of the Ebola crisis, what the foundation did was contribute personal protective equipment to the isolation centers at the time. What's also little known, and which we don't really publicize, is the fact that there were 6 children at the time that lost parents due to the crisis, who in some instances were health workers. And we set up an education trust fund, we call it the Ebola Education Trust Fund. The second project is related to relief during the floods that occurred in northern Nigeria, where the foundation worked with various actors to donate to the communities in question.
With your experience in over 10 African countries, the United States, UK, Bangladesh, and many other parts of the world, do you think that the Nigerian government is paying enough attention to education in the annual budget?
Education is extremely important, yes. Health is important, transport is important, agriculture is important as well. So there are competing priorities. I think what we should talk about is if the monies that are being allocated to the sector, so for instance, this year was 6.7% of the total budgets, are actually being spent effectively and optimally. I'll give a few examples. So in England, you have £5,000 allotted to a child in primary school. You have about £6,200 to a child in secondary school. In Sweden and Finland, the annual budget per child for education is about $10,000. What these countries have also done is related or correlate, or they can correlate the learning outcomes and the educational trajectory of that child to the amounts that they have budgeted. In Nigeria, it's slightly different. We have the Universal Basic Education Intervention Fund that is funded with 2% of consolidated revenue. In February this year, what the Executive Secretary stated was that 73 billion naira of those funds hadn't been accessed. So on one hand, we would say that the funds are there, they just need to be accessed timely.
And going forward, what plans do you have to ensure that by the year 2030, your organization is able to achieve the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal 4, which is about bridging the gap in the education sector?
The COVID-19 pandemic, as well as the subsequent recession, has succeeded in seemingly eroding the progress that has been made in the basic education space over the past few years. Over the next few years, what we would do is launch a grant for innovation around education technology, trying to improve teacher effectiveness, literacy and numeracy for children. We would also intensify our work on the private sector advisory group for the SDGs, where we lead on the basic education subcluster, galvanizing private sector actors to further collaborate in the basic education space.
When Kaleidoscope returns, we'll find out how Wema Bank is contributing its own quota to health development. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching Kaleidoscope on Channels Television. Wema Bank is one of Nigeria's oldest banks. Let's find out about their history and how they have remained resilient. Established on the 2nd of May 1945 as a private limited liability company under the old name of Agumagbe Bank Limited, Wema Bank PLC is one of Nigeria's longest-serving indigenous banks. It was granted a commercial banking license and commenced banking activities in the same year. In 1987, Wema Bank converted to a public limited liability company, and in 1990, the bank was listed on the Nigerian Stock Exchange. Wema Bank is the pioneer of Africa's first fully digital bank, ALAT, and offers a range of retail and SME banking, corporate banking, treasury, trade and financial advisory services to its customers. With a network of over 149 branches and service stations backed by a robust ICT platform across Nigeria and over 73 years in the business of banking, Wema Bank has remained innovative in delivering value to its stakeholders. The bank is constantly introducing products and services tailored to the needs of its customers at every stage of their lives. It is a proud partner to more than 1 million individuals, families and businesses across Nigeria, helping them achieve their personal and financial goals. Well, Mrs. Falake Shanu begins by explaining the various sectors Wema Bank focuses its initiatives on.
Our corporate strategy is more or less to have digital solutions for societal impact. Impact in the sense that we are impacting the financial sector, that is financial inclusion. We are looking at women, we're looking at empowerment, empowering women, youth development, and also the environment. So we are quite into quite a number of areas when it comes to social responsibility. Now, because we have that at the back of our mind, the digital space is where we want to operate. So we are operating, you know that we have ALAT. This is an application that you don't have to use paper, so we are impacting the footprint on the environment.
Now let's begin with the one that affects us all. Share with us some of those projects you have done to reduce your environmental footprint or measures that you have taken to implement these projects.
So we find out that in most of our branches, not most, we started to change, not total dependence on generators. So we have what we call solar energy, powering ATMs, and also some branches. We started that, and we intend to continue that as we move on as well. That is one area. One of the other areas is looking at even the power consumption. So we've changed our bulbs. We now use LED energy-saving bulbs. We now look at transportation as well, because transportation to petrol, using of those cars is also some level of pollution. And what we do mostly is that there's some carpooling in the bank. We've also have virtual meetings. Now, a lot of virtual meetings. Even before COVID, we had a lot of virtual meetings. And what that does is that it reduces the time people travel. We partner with people who do recycling. And the good news about our recycling partner is that not only do they recycle, they also sell those items. And whatever items they sell, they donate the monies to some establishments.
In line with your sustainability goal of developing digital solutions, you organize developers, web designers, and creatives in what you tag Hackaholics. Tell us what this is about.
Okay, Hackaholics is actually an annual event in Wema. It's an hackathon. So it's a hackathon, but our own version, we call it Hackaholics. And what we do is like you send out an invite to bright minds, creative minds, developers, people that have solutions to what we think solutions that could impact the society. When they apply, we review all the applications that we get. The last one we did, we had over 500 applications. And then we review, we stream them down to maybe about 20 or 25, depending on what is required at any point in time, or the number of good solutions that we get. And they now pitch to an audience. This audience is made up of professionals and even also us bankers. And then we evaluate the solution, and we pick the ones that will actually impact the society. When we evaluate these solutions, those people that scale through, some of them will be taken to the lab. There's what we call an incubator lab, where they can now develop their ideas into sellable products, or products that by which the bank can partner with them. Easy change. is one of the beneficiaries. I think it came first last year. And what it requires is more or less trying to provide contactless payments on buses in Lagos.
And are there other programs targeted at improving more talents?
Yes, we go to institutions and then find out if they have talents. I mean, some people who are very good in technology, and then we onboard them, maybe by way of interns. They come to the bank, they work as interns, they go back to school, and then at the end of the day, maybe they are employed, or we take them as part of the hackathon, or we take them as part of somebody that can provide some services to the bank. We are partnered with an organization called Shikan, and Shikan, what they do on an annual basis is to, not annual, I think on a regular basis, they have a main event, and then they have regular basis where they partner with governments or institutions to promote women empowerment. So they skill, they train, and over time we've seen that it's been effective. In fact, in some state governments have partnered with them, and they've empowered them with small loans to start their businesses.
And we know Wema Bank employees play a huge role in ensuring the implementation of your various social investment programs that you have. Tell us about these various programs and how they actually contribute to ensure this happens for communities around you.
As an institution, we believe it's not just the corporate that should be seen to be socially responsible. We believe that individuals also should support. And at Wema Bank, the staff are willing to contribute to these communities around them and the society at large. I think we have what we call Salary for Love. So in the month of February, which is Valentine's, 14th is Valentine's Day, but for the month of February, month of love, we believe we should show love to the society. And how do we do that? We contribute 1 day salary to the pool, and then we decide to give the donation to any organization less privileged. And we've done that, I think, over about 5 years or so now. And it's voluntary, so it's not you are forced to do that. If you want to opt out, you can, but most staff actually do it. And then we've built schools, not supported the building of schools, maybe roof in some institutions, and then we've done books for schools. I volunteer is more or less getting staff to now volunteer their time, not just money, in supporting the community. So what we do, for example, the community around here or around any branch or something, you can actually bring people together, give them a lecture. Sometimes we organize sessions, maybe testing health checks. Sometimes it's more about how do you go about your business, maybe financial literacy. One other area that we've been able to contribute as staff is what we call declutter and donate. So we all know that, well, as bankers, people have to change, get dresses practically on a regular basis. So we believe that there will be something that they want to throw away at the end of the year. So we get lots of clothes, unused electrical appliances, things that you don't need in the house that we can find useful. We just donate it. So the mentorship program is more or less a program whereby staff also volunteer to go to schools. So all those things that were not things that have been taught in school, staff volunteer and they go to schools, discuss with them, and the students are quite happy.
As a female in leadership position in Wema Bank, how committed is the bank in gender diversity and inclusion?
We strive to create an enabling environment, create opportunities for everybody, both male and female. And the opportunity is what made me an executive director in the bank. So yes, the only female. We are looking forward to more. We have about 47% of our workforce are female. So we are nearly at par with the men. And when we at the board level, we have about 33% of the members of the board women. So we believe that we've done well when it comes to gender equality in the bank. So it's not just about even the gender. Even the average age of staff in the bank is moving towards the millennial. So people think it's a 75-year-old bank, but the average age is about 35 of our staff. And that tells you that we are moving towards the youth. We are inclusive. The youth are actually much more in the bank.
And are there other programs targeted at women that you organize at Wema Bank?
Oh, yes. So one of the things we do, there's internal and external. So we have the Wema Women Network, whereby women within the bank come together. We arrange sessions whereby we discuss issues pertaining to women, also issues around how women would be able to progress in the bank. Most of the time, women is always, how do you manage? How do you get to the top? We also have just sessions around just having fun. But also from the other side, we have what we call SARA for Women, powered by WEMA. And SARA for Women is a female initiative. It's an initiative to encourage women. Not only is it to open an account, but we also support women throughout their journeys. That means, how do you save, financial literacy. We have training sessions on financial literacy. We have sessions on how you manage your business. We even go down to issues around taxes, how you manage your books. As the business is growing, the bank also supports with some soft loan. So we can give you are entitled to some facilities. So there's an health insurance partnership that we have with ICO, and it's about, I think we have 16,000 naira per annum premium. Since we've launched, it's been a success because people have actually keyed into it. 16,000, that's quite small. And it's not just I have to pay once. You can pay 1,600 a month, and then you get free medical care. So it's more or less like the same facilities that you have with an HMO. We have breast cancer screening, we have mammogram screening, we have health checks. So there are quite a number of things, all of them tailored to the well-being of a woman.
You organize capacity building through MSME clinics, helping various businesses across the country. How does this work, and how much have you achieved?
We've had over 70,000 customers go through these MSME clinics. And what we've seen over time is that their business has grown, their level of efficiency has improved. So what we take them through is how to manage their businesses. We also take them through how to manage their books, because managing their tax returns has been a major issue. So we partner with professionals who take them through what it takes to run a proper business.
Now, to ensure sustainability in your business and, of course, in communities around you, what are your plans going forward?
As an institution, we intend to improve, and we're going to continue to grow along a digital path. That means digital solutions for societal impact. So we intend to deepen our relationships in that area. But one of the things we're also looking at is that even ourselves, we'll self-govern ourselves and ensure that there's an improvement. We are a member of the UNEP-FI, United Nations Environmental Program Initiative. So FI is Financial Initiative. So we are committed to driving some aspects of sustainability principles. And the tool that we've picked mainly is to support women empowerment and financial inclusion. So we are going to take that one on seriously, and we are going to continue with supporting the society. Now, as we have seen things, this year a lot of things have happened with COVID and NSAS and quite a lot of unemployment. There's no other way than for banks or even institutions like us and individuals to support the unemployed, to ensure that we empower people, and to ensure that we are a responsible organization.
Thank you so much for watching Kaleidoscope today, as we encourage more companies to continue to do more for the society. Please watch past editions of the program on youtube.com/channelsweb. I'll definitely see you soon. I'm Anne Orwando. Thank you for watching.